The door opened, admitting a shaft of unwelcome light into the lounge where I was sitting on a Friday afternoon. A tall, bull-like man walked in and looked around the room, noticing me as I raised my hand and motioned him over to the table. He strolled over and slid into the seat across from me with a smile on his face. His real name was Gerald William Cassidy, but he liked to wear jeans and a big cowboy hat when he was driving, so Butch Cassidy. Butch was a short-haul driver for my company. We were a baked goods firm and distributed bakery items to the surrounding states. I was the manufacturing manager for the local plant, as well as two others in Pennsylvania and Ohio. I had taken the afternoon off in order to meet with Butch and talk to him about something that had been bothering me. His run was finished for the day, since he began long before dawn and finished around early noon. He did the local runs and never had to be away from home much. He and his wife Martha used to be good friends of Delia's and mine, but that was before their divorce about 6 months ago. Butch looked at my face, saw the strain, and frowned. "What you doing, my friend? I was surprised to get your call. I haven't seen much of you or Delia since my divorce. I thought I was no longer on your suitable friends list." It was true I hadn't talked much to Butch since he and Martha got divorced. Part of that was because Delia, my wife, hated Butch and blamed him for the problems in their marriage. When I mentioned that Martha was the one that cheated, she just smirked and said it was payback for his fooling around. Since I knew Butch fairly well, I knew that was lie, but it didn't seem worth getting Delia steamed up by disagreeing with her. She always seemed to be pissed at me for something or other, so why stir up problems? I waved the waitress over and ordered us a couple of cold ones. Butch eyed her up but didn't follow through, sensing this was not fun and games time and waiting for me to let him know what we were doing here. Well, Dee didn't want us to stop being friends with Martha, so I just sort of let it go. The fault's mine, though I gotta be honest with you, Butch. I don't much care for Martha since the divorce. But that's not the reason I wanted to talk to you. I had some questions to ask you, and you're the guy with the answers. Sounds interesting. Shoot! What first let you know that Martha was fooling around on you? What were the signs? Butch looked at me with a funny expression, and then he began to smile. The smile got bigger and bigger as I waited. Seems someone else got problems in paradise, don't it? I'll be goddamned. Well, I ain't the least bit surprised, I'll tell you that. What do you mean? Do you know something? Something I should know? I don't know nothing, but I have my suspicions. Your wife and my ex spent a lot of time together since my divorce, and that means trouble if you ask me. But what the hell? What did you want to know? What were the signs, the clues that made you suspicious? Butch gave it some thought, mentioned that thinking was thirsty work, and waited while I ordered another beer for him and one for me. When they came, he grabbed his and downed a third of it in one swallow. Okay, what were the signs? First, Marty got real quiet. She always was a talker, and she never gave me a minute's peace when I was home. I didn't much care, but suddenly, she stopped talking much to me. Oh, she still chattered on, but nothing like before. Just nonsense stuff, things I couldn't care less about. It seemed like she was somewhere else most of the time. He stopped to take another drink and stared off into space for a minute before continuing. The next thing was she'd pick fights with me over nothing. Nothing at all. That meant anything. She'd just wait till I said something and then jump my ass. Just wanted to fight. Nothing I did made any difference. That's when I first started to think something was up. I could tell this was still sensitive territory. It had only been 5 or 6 months since the divorce was final. I knew Butch well, and I knew that he still loved Martha, even now when he knew what she had done. But I also knew he couldn't forgive her. The hard part for Butch was that she didn't care. Then, I started to call home during the day when I was at work. I never used to do that, and when I started, I would just hang up when she answered. It took about 3 weeks before I got the pattern. She was usually home every day, but Wednesday. On Wednesday, she was gone during the early afternoon, usually until after 3 or 3:30. When I asked her what she did during the day, she said nothing but shopping and chores like dry cleaning and such. Another swallow of beer and a signal for another bottle. I did the honors. The last sign was that thing just slowed down until it stopped. Unless I really raised a fuss, she wouldn't have anything to do with it, and when she did, it was like effing mannequin. You know, one of those dolls or some such. Used to be she loved it, and we had a good time. Then, it just stopped. I nodded, remembering the final days of that match. I knew Butch was hurting, but I never took the time to ask him why then. I just minded my own business while he slowly died inside. The divorce was hard on him, but I still kept my distance. Now I was sorry. Sorry that I let him down, and sorry I didn't pay more attention to what he was going through. Maybe too late, but I told him now how sorry I was. He just shrugged his shoulders and said, "It's okay. It's done now." So, how did it end? What did you do? I took a day off and followed her on one of her Wednesday afternoon meetings. I borrowed a friend's car and waited outside the house till she left. I followed her to that motel off Frederick Street and saw her meet that son of a B she was sleeping with. I took my camera and shot pictures of her going in with his arm around her and then coming out with his hand on her ass. The beer came and he grabbed it and took a big swig. This was bringing back some bad memories. But I had to know. I showed her the pictures that night, and she just shrugged her shoulders. She asked me what I was going to do, and I told her I wanted a divorce. She didn't even argue, just agreed with me that it was best. She didn't even want to talk about it. To this day, I don't know why. I still don't know why. I was disappointed with that, I guess. I was going to ask him why she did it, but he didn't even know. She divorced him and never even told him what he had done or why she had cheated on him. I wondered how he could survive, not knowing. Didn't you ever try to get her to tell you what happened? Why she hurt you that way? I would think you would have to know, so you could move on. Wasn't necessary. After I found out, I could never forgive her anyway. No way I would take back a cheating W like her. So I didn't give a good goddamn. Good riddance to bad rubbish, I told her. That's how it ended. She still F that sob, but he went back to his wife and won't leave her. Serves her right. I didn't give her S in the divorce, and I ain't going to neither. She wanted alimony, but I told her I'd F quit if she asked for any. I'd give her half of nothing. She got the picture real quick. She wanted quit of me more than she wanted my money. He finished the second beer and finally sat back, looking at me. So, Petey boy, you got problems? Seems like you want to know what to look for in your own marriage, huh? No way. But then, as close as Marty and D are, it's not too surprising. I think cheating's a disease, and D caught it from Martha. Hot damn, what are you going to do about it? Not surprising that he figured it out. I wasn't intending on keeping it a secret because I wanted his help in finding out for myself what Delia was doing. All the signs he mentioned were there. Irritability, silence, time away from the house, and no excuse. Our S life had been almost non-existent for some time now, and just a duty F from time to time. It was really obvious now that Butch had clarified my thinking. Well, I think the writing's on the wall. She's given me all the signs that you mentioned plus a few others. I've racked my brain trying to find some way to catch her, but either she's too smart for me, or she is help. I just can't seem to find any proof of what she's doing. But it's damn clear that she is cheating on me, and I want to find enough to make sure she can't take me to the cleaners in a divorce. Well, you've come to the right place. Let old Butch help you out. We'll cook up a plan to catch her cheating ass. I would like to say we sat there and made a superior plan to catch my wife in her cheating ways, but we actually just got a little buzzed on several more beers. I let myself go now that I had found a partner and someone to unburden myself to. Once I started to talk to Butch, I found I needed to unload this burden, and it was close to midnight when I finally found myself trying to unlock the inside garage door with my key. I was having no luck when the door flew open and my loving wife stood there with her hands on her hips and her face, showing me a picture of what the wrath of hell was likely to be. Well, you finally decided to come home. And drunk too, it seems. What do you have to say for yourself? Well, hello, my loving and faithful wife. Have you been here waiting for me, your loving husband? Or did you spend the time with someone else? Huh. Delia was furious, but she narrowed her eyes at my comments. I was too drunk to take advantage of it. Now, she bit back a comment and simply turned away, walking down the hall to our bedroom. I managed to make my way inside and push the door shut, leaning against it as I tried to make the room stop spinning. After a few minutes, I felt steady enough to lock the door and make my way to the kitchen for a cup of coffee and a cold washcloth. I felt like hell, but also quite relaxed for the first time in a long time. After a futile attempt to pour a cup of coffee, which was cold anyway, I just dropped into one of the chairs and let my head fall onto my arms on the table. I would just rest a little until I got my strength back, and then I would go to bed. I was still resting when I was awakened by a beam of sunshine coming in the kitchen window. I had spent the night right where I had come to rest. That was made clear when I tried to straighten up and the cramp in my lower back reminded me that I was no longer a young man.